Unsung Heroes, a video essay. After the Louisiana Purchase, Thomas Jefferson needed skilled men to explore his new-bought land and report back to him a route to the Pacific, the resource and trading opportunities, as well as the possibility of settlement. So he sent two explorers, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, with the addition of a brave yet unexpected woman named Sacagawea. The two became the face of what would be known as the Great Western Expedition. But were they just two? As time has gone by, scholars and historians have had the opportunity to analyze William and Clark's narrative through the 13 volumes of journals compiled and released by the University of Nebraska, and now have been able to make sense of the people who not only accompanied them, but were crucial in the success of it. We will look at why these two people were so important, one being Sacagawea and the other being York, an enslaved African American of Clark. Most people hear about Sacagawea and think of a glamorous Pocahontas girl with hair flowing in the wind. Yet when we read Lewis and Clark's narration, despite getting very little information on her and her personality, her actions nonetheless speak incredibly about the kind of woman she was at just 16 years old. As a new mother and wife, and now called on to travel across the country, Sacagawea had to have had thick skin and an incredible amount of strength. She came from a Shoshone Native American family and most likely would have valued staying in her tribe, with her people, and raising her kids to become valuable members of the Shoshone. So for her to be taken away, sold, and married off to a Frenchman was quite the turn of events. Yet through it all, she maintained a sense of poised collectiveness. As Lewis put it in an excerpt from his journals, Sacagawea, our Indian woman, was one of the female prisoners taken at that time, though I cannot discover that she shows any emotion of sorrow in recollecting this even, or of joy in being restored to her native country. If she has enough to eat and a few trinkets to wear, I believe she would be perfectly content anywhere. Living during these times was hard enough, and even more for a woman of color. What we don't realize is that Sacagawea may have hid her emotions. That way, this may have led Lewis and Clark to believe that she was a happy, simple-minded teenager, when in reality, the expedition must have been a very difficult challenge for her. This further emphasizes the subject point that she was incredibly selfless and strong-hearted, a woman of unique willingness and virtue to guide these men into her land, to provide food for them, resources, and her knowledge of the Shoshone and Hidatsa language, to encourage peace with each and every single one of the tribes they encountered. In the end, it is seen that Sacagawea got along well with Lewis and Clark, so well in fact that Clark was eventually noted to have provided funding for her children's education, and referred to the child with which she traveled as Pomp or Pompey instead of his birth name, Jean-Baptiste. This allows one to create the argument that Lewis and Clark's legendary success was strongly influenced by the know-how, resourcefulness, and overall spirit of determination of Sacagawea. Next, the unsung hero of Lewis and Clark's expedition.